Welcome back. I find the most challenging part of the whole meeting to be this vocational piece. And although I'm not going to be talking about religion, I am going to be talking a little bit about my own personal journey with spirituality, since it was my Uncle Jim that had such a big piece of that. Basically, I was raised in a family that was Episcopalian. My mother was Church of England, and my father's mother was very negative toward the Catholic Church. So there was a conflict as I was growing up between belief systems, which I didn't really see as being that much different. But it had an impact on me with regard to the hypocrisy of how people looked at religion. And that sort of continued through the time that I was confirmed in the Episcopalian Church, and then given the choice of whether to go to church, attend regular services or not. My mother was very sort of liberal-minded about the idea of going to church, in that she felt that as long as I went somewhere, that was a positive. So being a typical teenage girl, I went to many sleepovers with girlfriends of many denominations and faiths. And so I was exposed to the Jewish temple, Greek Orthodox, Amish, Mennonite, Catholic, Lutheran, Presbyterian, and even Universal Unitarian. As a matter of fact, I even went to a Quaker service. So because of this sort of liberal view from my mother, allowing me to attend so many services, it gave me a very different viewpoint on how people believe their subcultures that go along with it, and the way they view their own communities. It was also my mother that was instrumental in pointing out to me as a teenager that I was to give back to the community by doing volunteer work. This was all through my high school career, where I worked in the local hospital, usually on the children's ward, or helping out the elderly if there were problems that somebody needed to come and drive or help prepare meals. I left home when I was 17, about 2 weeks after I graduated from high school, partly due to the fact that I had a lot of disagreements with my father and his belief system, which was basically that women should be seen and not heard. So I sort of took off on my own, and at that time became reacquainted with my Uncle Jim, because he was working with the SOS Children's Village, and he had some very, I thought, liberal beliefs in helping raise children. So during that time, during the 70s, he was very instrumental in helping me figure out what it is that I wanted to do, which was work with kids. And during the 70s, I taught school, and then I worked in the prison system in New Jersey as a consultant working with students who had learning disabilities and obviously behavioral issues. That time also led me to realize that I wanted to become a psychologist, and therefore I went back and got my doctorate in psychology. When I moved to Alaska in 1980, it was to work with the Matsu School District as a staff development coordinator. It was also that time that I got back in touch with my uncle, because while he was living in Austria, he gave me a lot of insight into working with troubled children and teens. We kept in touch during the 80s as he was sort of gearing down and looking toward retirement. I was sort of gearing up my career working with kids. And in the mid-80s, we got back together again, and I had a great conversation on the differences on child rearing. Both he, because he took a vow of celibacy, and me, because I chose not to bring children into this world. we both had a very different view on the value of family. I worked with an organization in Fairbanks called Presbyterian Hospitality House that uses the teaching family model. And the SOS Children's Villages use their model where they have a house mother. The teaching family has house parents. And it was very interesting to me that my belief in an intact family raising children was stronger than his belief, where he thought that a strong maternal figure was the important factor. As far as working with my spiritual side, we never really came to agreement, but we chose to disagree peacefully. But my Uncle Jim really did have the greatest impact on me as far as giving back to the community, believing truly in service above self, and really sort of emphasizing my love of children and love of community. So he was definitely the mentor and the person who, during hard times in my life, sort of helped me to look above and beyond myself and look at how we all can better our both local community and our global community. It's just too bad to me that my uncle died in the late 90s before he got to know the work that I'm now doing with both Rotary and internationally with Shelterbox USA. So thank you, Uncle Jim, for being my guide and my mentor.